Hey everyone, J-Rob Plays here, and I'm going to be putting together a video for you guys of all the things that I wish that I knew kind of prior to starting my level grind, even some things that I did know that maybe some of the newer players or people who have lapsed and have come back may not readily know. That way that can help you guys maximize your power grind and just kind of not go crazy with it, especially with Arms Week being here. That's going to be a big deal. The fact that Arms Week is kind of convoluted, and the way that it's set up, there's just a lot of weird, awkward conversation with Ada in the tower. She's going to be in the new gun range. You're going to start to go through and learn that with her, once you do her daily and weekly challenges, to get currency, if you go into the actual portal Arms Week section, which is on the bottom left side of the portal, and you're coming down into the reward shop, you'll see that it's available to buy these new weapons, the Modifiers. Now, with the Arms Week setup, you're actually capped at 3-tier weapons when you're just getting them from Ada and doing regular event weapon engrams. Those weapon engrams, of course, are going to cost you a specific currency. The currency you get is just going to be through doing portal activities. I think if you're doing solo ops, it's 25. And then they vary from there, with the highest being, I want to say, 48 through the pinnacle ops. But the solo ops, the fastest, grinding the Caldera solo ops that people are grinding to get their power up, is going to also give them the ability to get this same currency. And then you're going to buy an engram from Ada, which then you're going to use to purchase a specific weapon or item. Now, you can buy the engram on the left, but that's going to be either the ribbon tail or the Modifiers. Right now, the hand cannons are the kind of featured items, so I would focus on the hand cannon this time around. Once you have maybe like a ribbon tail that you like, I really didn't like any of the rolls, so I wasn't too interested in the ribbon tail, but the Modifiers I was, and that's how you can also get some hollow foil ones that are outside of the track, because if you go to the track itself, you'll notice that there's a hollow foil ribbon tail at 10, and then a hollow foil Modifiers all the way at 15, which most people won't get because they may miss a daily challenge here or there, and they're not going to spend money to get that. So if you do want a hollow foil Modifiers, a good way to do so is through buying the engrams, the Arms Week event engrams you can get right from Ada, and then going in there and purchasing just straight from there. That'll give you a drop chance for that. Of course, it's tier 3, but if you really want the high-end ones, what we learned at the beginning of the week was that once you get enough currency of the event tokens to buy one of these, that's the only way you're going to get a tier 4 or 5. So for me right now, I haven't fully gotten to level 400 yet, so the reward tier based on my Guardian rank, as you can see here, is tier 4, and a lot of us didn't know that Guardian rank was going to be tied to Arms Week. There was no real communication with that, so people weren't prepared. Now, a lot of people were already rising in the ranks because that was just something you were doing alongside getting to high power, but having that kind of dropped on you, finding out the first week or the first day of the week for the Arms Week, was a little bit jarring for a lot of people, especially because they didn't have that opportunity to prepare. So that really sucks for everybody, and hopefully this video will help you guys in getting that set up so that you can get to at least high enough to get a tier 4 drop, or even possibly a tier 5. Now, from my understanding, the tier 5s are actually going to be time gated. It's been said online that if you get to Guardian rank 9, you can actually get tier 4, but I already have tier 4s available in that section. I just want to make sure that I'm going to actually get the proper tier 4, so I'm going to finish out my Guardian rank 9 and get the Ascension 5, get 400 power before I turn in any of my currency for the week. However, if for whatever reason I get sidelined during the week and I can't get to 400 and I turn in my currency and still get the tier 4s, I'll make a short video reporting on that. But the idea is to get the tier 4s, you're supposed to get to rank 9, but I've heard that tier 5s were hidden behind rank 9, so there's a little conflicting information on that right now. However, for the higher ranks, if you're talking tier 10, that is actually unfortunately time gated from us, because once you get into the tier 10 section, it's going to have you do some of the ultimatum tier stuff, which is above the Grandmaster tier, and that is going to be time gated until Ash and Iron. So it's really sad that Bungie has done this. They've time gated the best gear of just like a 1-week event that maybe is going to come around later in the season. They really haven't been clear on when in the season that's going to happen. Maybe after a couple of weeks of the Ash and Iron update, it'll come back and then we'll be able to actually get our tier 5 stuff. But by that point, is anybody really going to care? Is anybody going to still be playing the game, right? So that's kind of sad how they've done that, to where the event encourages you to spend money on either reroll chips or to buy the event rank, which, a little heads up on this one, the reroll chips are only going to give you a bounty that you get half a rank of on the next setup, and if you buy the rank for the same amount as the reroll chip, it's going to give you the whole rank. So don't buy reroll chips. Don't fall into that trap. If you have to get 1 or 2 ranks and you're trying to get this particular roll, just buy the rank itself for the same 100 silver, and that'll get you the rank up. Which, again, I don't encourage giving Bungie any more of the money. They've really under-delivered when it comes to overall content value of this particular drop. But there's plenty of videos talking about that and going over that, and I don't want to kind of waste too much time on this video, which is an advice video, going over dissatisfaction of things that most people have already voiced similar concerns. So now that we've covered that, a couple of the bottlenecks that people have been running into in the Guardian ranks is, of course, any of the modifiers, which you can check out my Guardian rank videos to see how the modifiers actually work and how to kind of add them into the Guardian rank system to get a plus ranking and make sure that it counts for you. And then the prime engrams are the next big bottleneck for a lot of people. Now, the prime engrams, they don't look like they used to. You'll see a lot of engrams dropping on the ground that are either kind of an orangish color or the normal purple engram that has like the prime engram sheen to it. Those actually are not going to be what you're looking for. There's going to be a drop at the end of one of your solo or your fire team ops activities. Even I believe Crucible Ops has a chance to drop it too, and that is going to be a tier higher than what you're normally getting. So right now, if you're getting tier 2 weapons and you get a tier 3 weapon drop on you all of a sudden, and it's kind of standing out and it's got those additional perks, that's probably your prime engram. And if you're high enough and you're getting the tier 3 stuff drop and all of a sudden you get a tier 4 out of nowhere, that's your prime engram. And so that's kind of how they look in the system, and that's what they'll look like once you get to 400. To go from 400 to 450, you have to basically run things over and over and over again until you get a tier 5 to drop, and that's your prime engram. That's going to get you 1 more light higher or a few light higher depending on your situation and where you're at. So that's why the grind is so ridiculous after 400. But just getting into Guardian ranks and trying to get through Guardian ranks and needing a prime engram was kind of a poor choice, because it's like a random chance, and it's not good to put random chance in the way of your progress of the game. But since that's the scenario that we're in, another way that you can increase your chance, aside from running things faster, like running through solo ops quickly through the Caldera solo ops, like I'll show at the end of the video how I do, and running through activities that have a lot of bonus modifiers to get you that additional chance to get the upgraded weapon. You can also make sure that you're in a clan that actually has the prime engram boost. So in order to see where you are in your clan, for example, you'll just hover over your clan banner and you can see the battle standard shows different things that you unlock as your clan ranks up. And I want to say clan rank 4 is the rank where you get the increased chance at receiving prime engram for portal activities. So if you're not in a clan that's active, you want to try to move to a clan that's currently active that has that ability, so that when you get to that 400 and you're stuck just being able to get prime engrams, any little increase that you can get will help. So that's my tip for people who are still trying to get prime engrams, to try to get them to move into the next section and get past that Guardian ranks that they're struggling on getting past. So having gotten past that bottleneck, the next thing that I wish I knew early on was how crazy the unstable cores are at the low end and the high end. Because when you're first starting out, like one of my things that I was kind of mini panicking on is I was running out of cores right away. I was making the mistake of getting something new and then upgrading everything that I had in my inventory as I was going, and kind of trying to get all my gear pieces up to where I was at, and that was spending cores each time. And I didn't realize it right away, because some of the early stuff I was just upgrading from a tech sec hood to a tech sec hood, and you'll notice that when you're doing that, it's only glimmer. So kind of a way around it is to just try to make sure that you're upgrading like for like, so basically using the tech set to get you all the way up to light level, and then every now and then you can catch up your other items. But as you can see, if it's a low light level item and you're trying to get it all the way up to a really high, it's a really high cost. It's 4,220 there. So that is one of the things that I was concerned about, because I had no clue how I was going to be getting these unstable cores, since when I first started playing, I was only getting the unstable cores from the seasonal hub in the portal. I saw that there was like 25 cores here and there, 50 cores at 13, and I'm thinking to myself, how many cores am I going to be able to get per week? How am I going to be getting all this gear leveled up if I'm limited on cores? What I didn't know, and what Bungie didn't do a good job of explaining originally, is that when you go and you dismantle items that are of the new type and they're the higher the light they get, the more cores they'll drop. So right now, if I would dismantle this tier 4 item at 355, it'll probably give me around 500 unstable cores. And so that is how you can build up your cores all the way up to 30, 40K on average. As you're going through, you're going to be getting rid of some of the trash, but you're also going to be spending those on upgrading at the same time. So they're going to kind of balance out as you're going. So try not to upgrade everything, just what you're using while you're leveling. So for example, I've left a lot of stuff behind that I really don't need. Like if I was going to do the raid, for example, I would only need things to be over 100, around 200 max. In this case, anything below that I don't really have to mess with. So anything that's like a duplicate, if I got another 361 item, I would probably just delete it and continue to save this and only put like a 362, 34 in this item, so that the cores are kind of balancing out, so I'm not losing the cores. That's one of the things that I initially, again, was struggling with, is how I'm going to do this. Another thing, though, that people have noticed, and specifically content creator for Destiny, Kujay, he noticed that after grinding to 401 power on his Titan, that when he wanted to swap over to his Hunter, it takes 7,744 unstable cores to infuse just one piece of 200 power armor all the way up to 401. And that's already 200. That's not starting at 10. So ideally, you want to have an item that's at least 200 before you even start that, because it could be more. And he has 50,000 cores. That means that he can only do roughly 6 pieces of armor before he runs out of cores. So that's not even enough to get like multiple sets. So he would just maybe get one set for his Hunter, and then like another piece for his Titan, and then that's it. That's where he would be stuck at. Now, to put that in perspective as well, and in his words too, he said the exact same thing. When you're trying to dismantle items, you're getting roughly between 500 and 600 cores. Right now, he was getting 633 cores in his example. So if he dismantled 12 pieces of gear, that would get him that 7,500 that he would need in order to just get one piece of gear up from 200 to 401 where he's at. And that's barely enough. That means that if he had to do that across all of his items, he has to get 62 pieces of gear to get all of his 400 gear pieces up to where he wants them to, which is nuts to have to run that many activities where you're getting only 1 or 2 pieces of gear, like at least minimum 30 times, maximum 50 something times, on a normal drop rate, just to upgrade one set of armor. Like, that's wild. That's crazy. And I mean, obviously we're doing it anyways to get our power up, but the point is that somebody who is trying to balance 2 or 3 characters, they're really going to struggle. Even I saw earlier in the day a Reddit post mentioning how this is the death of the 3-character person who runs all 3 characters, has them all max light, all of that, because they're really not going to want to focus on trying to keep all their characters around the same light. They're going to want to focus on just one character, max them out to 450, go and save up a bunch of cores, and then catch your other character up. On 3 separate characters is crazy enough to do the 400 to 450 one time, but they have to do it again and again and again. That's just nuts. And I'm not the only one that has that reaction. I mean, I think I saw Cross with that reaction, Houndish with that reaction. A lot of different creators have that exact same reaction. I want to say GSXR Clyde has been salty this entire expansion about similar stuff and similar grind. So it's frustrating, but that's something that you have to look out for. Is the core economy is crazy on both ends. Starting out, you want to make sure that you're only using the items that you're going to be using to level up and getting those up in those builds, maybe 1, 2, or 3 builds max. And then you're going to want to be dismantling all of your extras, so you have additional cores for when you reach the very high end, that high band. You're going to have a store of cores to keep getting your gear up and getting your gear going. Speaking of that gear, you're going to want to be trying to unlock higher tier gear, not just because it's going to have better stats. As you can see, some of these have really high stats once you kit them out and you put everything into them, and then of course the additional 10 from any of these stat modifiers that you drop into these mods. However, another thing is that you're going to be getting damage resistance. So if you hover over your artifact, you'll see that I have 4 out of 5 pieces of gear that are new gear. That little banner in the upper left hand corner indicating that it's new gear, they get a damage resistance bonus for being the seasonal gear. Now, normally it wouldn't be capped out like this at 15% because my tier gear is only like 3 tier 4 pieces and a tier 3. But people have found that if you get a piece of tier gear, like this Texac hood, for example, and you come into the cosmetics and you put another new type of gear over it, which is in this case a Bushido cowl, it now counts as 2 pieces of tier 4 armor, which is going to give me a tier bonus. And it's going to do that that until it caps out at that 15%. So what I've done is I've taken the tech sec hood and made it Bushido. I took the tech sec vestment, and in this case I made it the last discipline vestment. The boots, tech sec boots, are Bushido boots. And I have here a tech sec bond, and as you can see, I've got the tech sec bond labeled as the Bushido bond. And so because I have the tech sec, these 4 pieces here, all looking like different pieces of armor, they've all maxed out and gotten to the 15%. And so I'm not short because I don't have a bunch of tier 5. You can get maxed out, I think, with like 2 pieces of tier 4 and a couple pieces of tier 3, but that's going to be a big difference when you're doing the master and grandmaster. You can take a lot more damage with that additional 15% damage reduction. And if you have builds that heal you like mine, you don't have to worry too much about your health stat. Health stat becomes just kind of a throwaway stat. And again, you're going to be still trying to run innervation and better already to get your health back when you pick up orbs, as you're using orbs that are going to be dropping from your weapons when you're using the correct siphon mods. So those things you kind of pick up as you go along, but essentially that ornament bug is going to give you that additional little bit of health so that you're going to survive the encounters and you don't waste a run or waste a life in a run, saving you time, getting you more power quicker with what little time you may have to grind with, if you so choose to grind. And so that's a big deal that's still going on. They still haven't fixed that as of the last reset. And so if you are still doing the grind and you are starting to get your tier 3 pieces dropping in, don't worry about your fashion. Get in there and put a different type of new gear over it, very similar to how we did the Iron Banner bug, and it wasn't even really a bug, it was an Iron Banner feature that was added to where you could take an Iron Banner bond, Iron Banner Titan mark, for example, or cloak for a hunter, and put a different Iron Banner ornament on it, and it would count for that 5th piece of item so that you could wear an exotic and still get all your Iron Banner maximum rep. It works the same way, but in this case for the seasonal damage resistance. Now, also another thing to keep in mind when it comes to armor is that there is a kind of a bug right now going on where if you've ever played the Festival of the Lost and you've picked up in your collections underneath Flare a Festival of the Lost mask, these masks actually drop at your light level. And if you, for example, have one of these masks in your inventory, it'll count at that light level as a piece of gear for you getting new gear. So if you guys aren't familiar with it, there's a couple of places that you can go to. My place that I happen to use the most is going to be a website called Destiny Recipes along with Destiny Item Manager, and I'm going to show you that right now. So this is going to be the Destiny Recipes login that I have here for my character, and as you can see, I'm sitting under the Power Progress section. Normally I use the checklist for bounties whenever we're doing bounty prepping. In this case, I'm going to be using the Power Progress section to keep in mind where I'm at in my Power Progress and to know where I'm at as far as how many times that I need to get additional gear in what slot to get me into the next section. So for now, 359 with 3 out of the 8 options that you can have, and 8 being 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8 pieces is what it's talking about. So kinetic, energy, power, helmet, gauntlets, chest, legs, and class. Right now, for example, my legs are falling way behind according to what it's saying here. So if I have something in the portal that's going to drop legs, I can actually go and pick that up and do that instead, and that'll give me my leg bonus, the maximum of what I can get. So right now, if I was doing a portal activity, it should be dropping 3 light higher with doing the master, grandmaster roughly in there. So I would expect to get from 359 a 362 drop. And so instead of getting 357 and I go and I get those boots, I'm going to have a swing of 5 points because now I'm going to have a 362 in this slot, and that's going to give me these 5 little spots here that are going to now make me 360. So that one piece of gear is going to give me that 1 light to 360. Now this is how I keep track of those things on top of the Destiny Item Manager. Now on the Destiny Item Manager, you'll see here that it shows you where I'm at and 3 out of 8. One thing that Destiny Item Manager does that Destiny Recipes doesn't is Destiny Item Manager counts that headpiece from the Festival of the Lost. So right now, if I had a helmet that was lower, right now my helmet's 361, but let's say my helmet was like 358, I could actually go and pull a 359 helmet, and now it would be 359 and 4 out of 8. And so the next time I got something that raised my light level 4 out of 8 of that light level, so if I got 4 over, for example, let's say I was at 359 on my gauntlets and I dropped like a 363, that would be 4 light. That would add that 4 to that, and that would put me at 360. So that's how I went about using the Destiny Item Manager and Destiny Recipes. This is just to determine what my lowest piece of gear is. You can disregard the helmet because it'll always tell you your helmet's low, even though you've been every light taking out a Festival of the Lost helmet that's at light. So if I go to 360, I can take out a 360 helmet. If I'm at 361, like here, I will take out a 361, but it won't track that until I actually get a helmet that's not a Festival helmet, but it'll be there, and I know that it's there. And I've even seen where I've grabbed a Festival of the Light helmet, and then it gave me the light level, that one extra light level that I needed to get up to the next tier, and then I can grab a second helmet right behind it that's going to be 1 higher, and that'll keep me going. That'll put me at 1 out of 8 on the next light level. And so that's, again, an advanced way, if you haven't done this before, of really tracking and maximizing your gear climb so that you can make sure that you're choosing what you need to choose at the right moment. And so with these two websites, you can kind of in between, if you've got a computer with 2 monitors, you can check back and forth. You can pull up a phone, for example, and go to your Destiny Recipes on your phone app, and in desktop mode it'll work just fine. Same thing with DIM. You can pull up DIM online, same thing. In desktop mode it'll work just fine. A little slower, but at least it could still work by double clicking and stuff. Or you can just tab it out. If you only have 1 monitor, tab out, tab back in to Destiny. You can run Borderless with Destiny, but basically have this as a companion app either on your phone or another device, and then you can go back and forth and say, okay, I need to target farm boots, I need to target farm a class item, gauntlets. These are going to be my lower items. These are going to be glaringly different. And those are the things that people have used to kind of really cap out their gear. That's when people are talking about using, for example, the Season Pass on Chrome in order to pull old gear. That's what they're talking about. When you come into here and your Season Pass is a Chrome or Firefox active, you can see that you can go back into the past, and you can go back as far as, I want to say Season of the Worthy, but in this case I only have Season of the Risen as far as just Glimmer sitting there waiting for me to pick up. I've got Exotics waiting for me to pick up. But if you haven't picked up gear from the past seasons and you have that gear sitting in there, that's going to really help you. Because, like, let's say my helmet is struggling and I didn't know about that a glitch where I could pull a helmet from Festival of the Lost, or I've never done Festival of the Lost and I have these past helmets just sitting there waiting for me. I can say, okay, I'm down 4 on a helmet, but over here I'm 4 out of 8 and I need 4 to get to 360. Well, then I could just pull this helmet to my hunter if that was what I was working on, like my hunter being 7 out of 8, for example. That would give me that light difference, and then that would put me up to the next light, so that when I do an activity, instead of dropping 3 higher than 359, which is 362, now I'm getting 363 gear because I'm at 360 starting. And that's kind of going to be how you supplement your climb. A lot of people will hype this up and say, oh, it's, you know, it's a huge exploit and you're going to be so fast. It's a minor thing, but it makes a big difference because you're limited in how much gear you have right now in your Season Pass. Like if I were to go back up and look at my current Season Pass, you can see that I've already claimed all my gear pieces doing the exact same thing on my Warlock. So right now I'm looking at my Titan, but I'll stay on my Titan, for example, and I go all the way back to the beginning. I can still grab gloves here, and these gloves are going to drop at light. So let's say that my light right now on my Titan is 259 and 7 out of 8, and I went and grabbed this, which is going to drop at 259 to replace a Titan armor piece that's 200. You'll see I'm going to grab 59 light, and that's going to shoot me up way above 259, catching my Titan up. So that's a great way to catch your other characters up. Especially if you're not wanting to spend all those unstable cores like we talked about earlier on. So I'm not even messing with my Titan and my Hunter's rewards because I'm saving those to try to get them light level up once I've maxed out my Hunter and I've gotten to where I'm going to grind to. If that's 450, that's great. If I give up on the 420s and I say screw it, I just want to play my other builds, I'll do exactly that, and I'll just grab these particular pieces of gear that I have sitting from Season of the Witch, from season of the episode Echoes, and those will give me that additional bonus. But if you're on your main character and you're 1 or 2 away from getting that next light level, you want to try to get that light level in the item that you need that's your lowest, so that way you're not getting duplicates, because it really sucks. Like right now, my best item is a power weapon and a helmet, and I'm going to go and do an activity and spend those 5-6 minutes grinding that activity over and over and over again, and I keep getting power weapons and helmets, which hasn't happened but maybe like once or twice in like a good 2 or 3 hour span that I've gotten duplicates. But it still sucks to waste that whole run. You get a duplicate and you just have to shard it because you're going to need those unstable cores cores. So that's one thing that I would recommend that you keep track of if you're really serious about trying to get, by the end of the week, at least up to a point where you can get tier 4 loot from Arms Week, because that seems to be the cap based on Bungie's BS time gating. And this is a great way, if you haven't done anything like this before, to kind of try to get some practice and wrap your head around how to get ahead of where your loot's at, what the lowest item is, the activities that are going to give you that item. And even, by the way, one thing that I didn't really notice that I was wondering what was happening, when you go look at the bonus reward on the activity and you say, like, okay, I've got legs, let me go do that activity and get legs, it actually says that you just have a chance, even if you get an A ranking, of getting that activity bonus. So that's silly. I don't know how low the chance is. Sometimes it doesn't even drop legs. It'll drop me like an extra weapon or something. It gives you 2 things, but it's not the specific thing that it says it was going to give you, and you got to do that again and again until you get the actual item that you want. You're still getting higher level gear in other spots, and you may go up 1 or 2 power, but it's not going to be like a 5 power swing like it would be for me on legs right now if I got legs drop at the +4, +3 time based on the activity that I'm doing. That's going to cover how you can use outside sources, the Destiny recipes, DIM, and your Bungie.net with the Season Pass add-on that you can get. And there's plenty of videos on how to do that. I particularly don't want to put that up because I don't want to put links in my videos to these things and send people to any sketchy spots. But basically, you can find it online. A lot of the major creators actually have that in their links, and those are safe links to go to. You can download it, set it up on your browser, and then from there you can actually start using that to draw back past rewards to your future to help you with your power grind. And it's even more useful now, so I hope you guys didn't waste it before. And if it's new to you and you have all that extra stuff, you're gonna have a nice little leg up that you can use and you can save for when you're like 1 or 2 or 3 power away from getting to that next power point, and you can just jump, and it jumps you like an extra, basically whole 3 or 4 power sometimes, just trying to get into that. So now that we've talked about sources of power and how to kind of manipulate your power outside the game, let's talk about that same exact thing inside the game. So one of the sources that you can kind of do the same thing with is going to be the chests, the area chests that are available throughout Kepler. And when you're roaming around, you'll notice that some of these icons will show up in these areas where you have these highlighted areas. They're little small icons that represent Mattermorph and that represent the new relocator, as far as the abilities that you unlock through the story. Now, I've had them completely wiped out, but you can renew them later on as you get higher power. You'll be able to come back in here and you'll be able to spend certain materials to reactivate those mysteries that are going to be, like, for this case, the outer steps. You're going to have to kill certain enemies that are going to drop quantum substances, and then from there you come back, you spin this, and it'll reactivate those in the outer steps. There'll be more symbols, and I can run back through and grab those chests. And the great thing about these world chests is that not only do they drop at light, so they would drop 359 for me, so like in my past example with the boots, I could come back in here now, come into attunement and say, you know what, I want boots, and those boots, whenever I do get a high chance of getting those from the chest, will drop at the power that I need, and then I can come back here and I can pick the next thing. So let me say then it would be gloves, and then helmet, and then primary. Now, if you're doing something like sieve, you can do that exact same thing. Sieve is a great way to go and do the activity. When you come into here, into the center where Caldera is at, and you can look at sieve, you can see when the timer is going to hit 0. Then you have, I want to say, 30 minutes to farm sieve. It's going to drop around 4 or 5 pieces of gear, also add light, so it's a nice change of pace, quick way of getting some gear. But you can also target farm that gear. So if you're just going to drop into sieve and the sieve only has 5 or 6 minutes left, you're only going to get 1 encounter or 2 encounters done in that time, because it'll kick you out after that. Then you just come in here and you say, all right, let me just get my boots real quick. Sieve's almost done. I caught it just in time. Get your boots. You may get 2 sets before you get out of there, and then get out of sieve and move on back to your farming. So that's a way that you can then manipulate again by coming through and choosing where you want and going and solving a mystery, coming back, loading back to Caldera again, go back to different parts of Kepler, into Curler's Divide, and Exiles Accord, a Simulated Easement, for example, the Stellar Sink. You're going to be able to do those, especially as you're working on the quest from Lodi to get your hand cannon upgraded. As you're running around doing the Graviton Spike, you're going to stumble on other secrets and mysteries, and there's guides out there too, how to specifically get secrets and mysteries per region. You can also track those if you're going into your journey. Look at your title for the Edge of Fate, and come over here. You can see there's different ones that are going to be available for urns, and then on this page is going to be the secret treasures. So you can see that there's 5 chests there in Assimilated Easement and 3 chests in Stellar Sink. And those are going to be 8 opportunities for you to specifically target farm the loot that you're lowest on and keep getting the lowest of the lowest until you're kind of in the middle, run a couple more activities, and then find that you have a gap, come back, and then use these in order to fill that gap. So between doing the Destiny recipes with your dim manager and using the Season Pass, when you exhausted those things, come into your Season Pass, choose the items in your Season Pass and exhaust those, you can still always come back and come to either any of the Outer Steps, Central Academy, the Exhausted Cord, and start grabbing those chests to fill in, so that way you're not having to sit there with like a low pair of boots and be behind and have it hold you back. You can actually make a large jump in your light using just items that are available specifically for you in the games. You don't have to be outside of the game for these particular items. Again, just to recap, you're going to want to grind hard after you get done with your campaign, your legendary campaign, get into your 200. Once you get your 200, then you're going to want to use the methods that I discussed on top of any activities in the portal. And again, the way you can maximize those early activities is to look for any of the bonus drops. And you can again target farm. Let's say I'm low on a energy weapon, or I'm low on a primary weapon. I'm going to do conduit for a primary and energy for this, and I also have these bonus items. As you're farming these things and as you clear encounters, you're going to also notice that one of your rewards from the chest is going to be a bonus drop of one of the playlists. And so a lot of times if I'm farming solo, I'm going to get bonus drops for the fire team, or Pinnacle, or Crucible. If you're playing a bunch of Crucible, you'll probably get a lot of Fire Team or Solo bonus drops. And so what I did at first, when I first hit 200, is I just went around looking at all the activities and just clearing the stuff that had stacks of them. So I would start with like Oracle, Delve, Liminality. I would do the Glassway. These Empire Hunts and the Quail are pretty quick. And then Savathun Spire I would probably do last. And then once I've really exhausted a lot of those, I would look to see if any of the quick play stuff is available. So this is a really nice one, this Master Quick Play that I have going on here. And then once I've done with that, then I decide, okay, do I want to play some Crucible? Do I want to still go solo? Do I want to try to get into a Pinnacle mission? Because with the Pinnacle missions, for example, they give you more than what you actually see on the screen. It's not just one reward plus 2 plus the Bushido Cow. In this case, it's going to be 2 rewards, so you'll see 2 completion rewards plus 2 bonus drops and a Bushido Cowl. So if I come into here and then I put up a bunch of modifiers, it's going to get me higher, and it's going to add to the point where I get to A rank. You'll notice now that I'm at A rank, I'm going to get my 2 tier 3s, 2 bonus drops, and a Bushido Cow. So I have 5 chances of getting that Prime Engram from earlier, number 1, but I'm also going to have 5 upgrades and 5 chances to upgrade my lower pieces of armor that I need. And if Helmet is the low one, and I'm really trying to get this one upgraded, then that's going to be what I would choose. Of course, if you watch this video, you know that trick, and Helmet's never going to be your low one. Your helmets are always going to be, when you come over here, a minimum of your power level at 359, and you're going to always want to keep one of these in your inventory until you have a helmet like I do right now that's higher at 361, and I just deleted the mask. You can just delete it. It doesn't give you anything. You can't like exploit it for cores or anything like that. It just goes back into your vault, and then I just rock the 361 until this falls behind, and then I'll grab a light level helmet, then have it sitting there, because again, you can't infuse the helmet. That's the one trick for that. You just have it sitting in your inventory, and that's how you keep that gear piece, at least your helmet, at the highest possible piece, and it will never fall behind. And so that's again the way that I kind of did my farming and the methodology from 200 to 300. I was really just picking whatever I thought was going to be my kind of favorite activity to do at the time. I always like doing the Empire Hunts because they're so fast. Battlegrounds are pretty quick too, and if I can see a stack of 3 like this, I usually knock them out. Now, once you get higher up and you're into that 300 range, sometimes the requirements and the difficulty needed to get you into that power band to where you get a higher level is going to be so much that it's not even fun to do some of these. So for example, if I was trying to do this Battleground Oracle, and skill level wise I'm at an expert level, you know, and I'm not comfortable running master stuff, having to deal with champions, for example. I mean, if you're loading this up with the most difficult things, you see how like very few points you're getting with lock loadouts, no HUD. It's really nothing. Like, you're really not going to be able to continually run expert. You have to run master. And if I go to master, I'm going to really have to put on a lot of things, run no HUD, run, you know, no starting ammo, things like that, in order to get to the point where I actually get this A+ and get my full bonus rankings. So once you find yourself to that point and you're saying to yourself, man, it's kind of tough having to depend on others, and I go and I'll run like a 30-minute activity and I'm there just plinking at stuff from across the map because it's so hard, you know, at that point, that trade-off is when you might want to start running solo. And that's when you're going to run solo Caldera, solo K1, solo Creation. These are going to be the easier ones. Salt mines are not that bad, and the conflict's not that bad, but Caldera has Matter Spark, which is huge when you're dealing with things that are stronger than you and you're trying to take advantage of the Matter Spark 4. And again, I really recommend you do Matter Spark 4. And that's going to be the way to get to 350 from 300, is to go through and farm that method, which I'll show you here shortly. Now, some people at this point might ask, why am I even going to bother getting to 350? I'm already starting to get tier 4 stuff at 300. Well, the thing is that yes, you can get some tier 4 stuff at 300, but really 350 is kind of that spot that you want to hit if you're going to hit and just stop and chill at, because at 350 you can come down here and you can get the Kepler gear tier upgrade +1, and that's going to take your +3 items that you were getting before and turn them into +4s when you do things that guaranteed +3 before. So coming over here to the weekly missions, these are originally tier 3 items, and when you come into here and you look at what's available, now they become tier 4 because I've purchased that upgrade. So when I'm doing my mythic missions, you get 1 per week on each of these 2 things, 1 here for this weekly mission and 1 here. Those are 2 guaranteed tier 4, and then soon possibly tier 5 once you get high enough pieces that you can get every single week as you're going through. And then of course when you're doing these explore Kepler on mythic, if you've held off like I have, I also have a chance at getting tier 4 from doing these things. So a lot of people will come in here and they'll bang their head against the wall doing mythic early and not waiting until they're at that 350 mark, and that's a little bit of a mistake, because now I have an additional source for these tier 4 items that you can see drop from this. So that's just something, again, to keep in mind whenever you're doing some of these things. These activities can drop a higher tier now that I've increased my rewards as I'm completing them. So there's one thing to keep in mind: do your fabled stuff, knock all your fabled, get all your fabled strangelets out of the way, come back into Caldera back here and make sure you're getting your upgrades and buying everything that you need. You can actually have 2 items that are waiting for you, 2 tier 4 items at that point once you've done your fabled, get to 350 and do your upgrade. And now that we've kind of covered all of that and you've gotten this far in the video, now I'm going to go over how I specifically farm Caldera and the things that I do, the way that I set it up, so you guys can see that. And I'll cover both days. There's a Vex day with a Harpy boss, and there's going to be a Elixni or Fallen day with a boss that has 2 Fallen. One's a sniper and one's got a shotgun, kind of a Lord of Wolf shotgun, and I'll show you how I deal with those in both the Master and the Grandmaster, because right now at my level of 359 I can still run Master with enough modifiers and get a decent enough jump in light, or I can choose to run Grandmaster with very little modifiers, just add more difficulty and additional champions, and then also get that same jump in light. It's a little faster on Master, so I'm going to run this until I can't anymore, and then once I'm on Grandmaster I'll be perfectly fine, because number 1, I'll be higher light, but I am also accustomed to running it because I've already ran it multiple times to do my Guardian ranks. So to start out, of course, I'm filming this during Arms Week, and this is going to be on Master level, so I'm going to have to add some additional modifiers in order to get enough to get A rank. So I always start with subtle foes, because you can still kind of see them from a distance. It doesn't really matter if they're invisible. I always do Hot Step because it's easy to dodge stuff on the ground. I do Glass Cannon because I don't really feel the difference in taking damage. And then I always do the Banes where it's Threaded and Shroud, because they're already going to be invisible. And the threading, if you're doing Caldera, the threadlings, they can't do any real damage to you. On the modifiers, as far as for the HUD, if I need to, I'll do no HUD. I always do equipment locked because that's a big jump, and then that allows me to get in some boons. So normally what I like to see here is an Arc Surge, for example, but today I only have like Solar and Void Surge, so I'm going to do Solar Surge because I'm using a Solar Hand Cannon. And then you always want to try to have Live Wire if it's available, because that'll help you get amplified, that'll help you get your abilities back, that'll help you move through the encounters quickly. And then since I need one more thing, I'm just going to go ahead and add Vex Shocker, which is just more pools on the ground, so no big deal. That's going to put me at A rank, and now even at 359 I can come back in here. You can see that I'll be getting 362 gear from 359, which is perfect for the jump. and then we're going to go load into the activity now. Now on this one here, I'm going to be actually playing through. Since it is Vex Day, I can play through. I'm just going to be narrating the other one for the Fallen. As you drop in, you see you have like 9 minutes and 30 seconds to get done. What I like to do is I like to bring out my Ghost, which brings up your navigation HUD, and you can actually see there's one there, there's one behind me, and there's one here. So I'm just going to do a little route where I go around in a circle, and I like to leave the area across from here last because that's where you go to get to the next area. So what you're going to look for is right here. You're going to look for heavy ammo and special ammo crates, in this case heavy ammo for me. And I'm going to run through here. And as you see here, you have these little detainment bots. These detainment bots, when they pop out, they actually can't do anything to you when you're in Matter Spark. So if you see one attack you, you can actually just use that in order to basically dodge them. And if you do get pulled into one, I can show an example of what it looks like when you do get pulled into one. You can actually go into your Matter Spark and then take that out there. Now what I'm doing here is I'm just holding my left mouse button in this case, which is my main attack, and you want to map that on both your controller and your keyboard to some place where it's easily accessible. And then you hit your right mouse button or your secondary attack if you're on controller, and that'll let you dodge, but that also does like a little ram attack, and that'll do damage to enemies. And when you have Matter Spark 4, that'll actually begin to allow you to jolt enemies, which is how you stun overloads. So now that I've done that, I've unlocked that area and I've blown up that device. If you're doing it on the Fallen, you're going to blow up that with like a little shank. I'm going to come over here now, and this is the next area that you can see that's ready. So I'm going to actually come through here in this corridor, and I'm going to hit up the overload champion that's here. There's always one hanging out here, and as you can see, the detain bot just tries to blow me up and disappears. It doesn't actually do anything to you when you're in Matter Spark, and you can always go into Matter Spark even when you're detained. As you can see there, I was able to stun him by dodging and holding my attack, and he fell over rather quickly. And here comes another enemy, and this one here is going to try to attack me from across, and all I got to do is just jump into him. Same thing, ram him a couple times, and boom, he's gone. Now, if I had arc bonus damage as a surge, it would be even more damage. So now I'm going to try to get some precision kills here while I'm working on this. I got to get 20 precision kills for the score. So I'm going to start working on that. I usually do them with the hand cannon too, but this hand cannon is the shotgun hand cannon, and it's just not the best at scoring precision kills. And I'm already done with the weekly challenge to do precision kills with the hand cannon. So that's why you see me not worrying about that there. So if you do pop these guys, you saw I hopped into Matter Spark because I thought they were actually going to blow up on me. You can do that, just hop into Matter Spark, and they won't be able to blow you up. Now I'm going to purposely get myself detained here so you can see what it looks like. You just go into Matter Spark, roll right out of the detain. It's not going to be a problem. So now I'm coming back here. And again, I'm still trying to work on my precision kills. Not always the easiest with an SMG for everybody. So I do recommend running something if you have the ability to that has a good precision on it, like scout rifle, any kind of slug shotgun. Obviously hand cannons are really good. Anything that you feel comfortable getting precision kills with, because this is the most annoying one, is the precision takedowns. Normally it's like kill 60 things, that's no problem. You can do that in Matter Spark. You don't got to leave Matter Spark. There's other ones where it's to get weapon kills. That's again very easy. No matter what you are, you just kill 45 things with a weapon, no problem. You can even hop out and use your weapon on any of these champions that you've stunned. And you can see how much of a difference Matter Spark makes when you're doing something on a lower difficulty. So here, again, going into Matter Spark because we have an attack from a large enemy. And so rather than try to deal with him with my weapons, I'm just going to go into Matter Spark and allow Matter Spark to control that and absorb any of that damage that's done to me. And so another thing you can do here is if you have a tangle like this, you can actually come right up against this, drop this on the ground, and actually use the tangle to pop the shield and destroy the mounds through that. And you can only do that on the Vex days. You can kind of still have that happen on the Fallen days, but it doesn't actually progress the mission for you like this does. And so that's really cool. And you'll see different examples that I'll try to put up different examples of me doing that through the shields, using the tangle. And the way that I do the tangle on my Warlock is either I use my Barrow Dyad or I'll use my Threaded Spike. If you don't have Barrow Dyad, you can always just use a Threaded Spike and get a kill while they have the debuff on them, and they'll turn into a tangle. And then, of course, in your artifact, you have the ability to create elemental pickups that match your supers and things like that as other ways to make tangles. Now this is the section here that I use to try to catch up on any of the missions, like if I'm low on kills, or if I'm low on, in this case, precision kills, I'm going to be using that. And I don't know if you notice what I did there. If you do have the barrel dyad and you're in the seeker mode, a lot of times that seeker, if you place it kind of midway through, it'll actually go and hit them in their crit spot. So it kind of helps you steal that kill. Now you're going to have enemies spawning above you as well. Oh, here's the last guy here. Let's take my time. All right. So now I've got precision takedowns done. I'm just going to matter spark through all of this. And again, too, don't forget you can also build up your matter spark charge bar like you see here that I have building up. And then what you can do there is, even especially at the boss, you can release that and it does a lot of damage. It does really good during the fallen section. You'll see me using that quite a bit on the fallen bosses. Now on this boss, like I said, he's kind of a pushover. He doesn't do a ton of damage. I believe he does solar damage, so you can run a solar resist, and that'll negate a lot of the damage that he does if he ever gets to even do damage to you. As you can see here, I've already pushed him. And now what I'm going to do is I'm just going to clear the area a little bit. If you're still working on Arms Week, this is a great area to go around and start blowing up things with your shotgun pistol that you have here, the shotgun hand cannon, because that's something that you'll need to do for the daily quests normally, is to get like so many per kills and it fills up a percentage bar. And what I like to do is I like to stand in this area here where I'm standing in between these rounds, because those are the most annoying ones to shoot when it comes to the boxes that you're shooting, is the ones that are kind of off the side of the map. Now once you've done that, the boss is going to spawn right here in the center, so you can just get ready for him. And since I found heavy, now I can hit him with heavy. It takes about 3 or 4 shots, depending on what modifiers I have. And there he is again. So now I'm just going to go back into Matter Spark. I'm going to come wait down here normally in Matter Spark. In this case, I'm just going to get a quick kill. And you see here, I got ahead of it. These are the annoying boxes that I don't like spawning, and they happen to be the ones that spawn perfectly for the one I'm recording. So coming through here, got a box hiding right here, and one here. Now, once you've destroyed these boxes, the boss is going to spawn over here. So now we're going to come and we're going to prepare for him here for a little final area. And if I was trying to get pistol kills, this is a good spot to get pistol kills. And just a couple of shots from heavy, and boom, the boss is done. I also like to see if he's going to drop something. Sometimes he'll drop an engram, or he'll drop, like in this case, he did drop an engram. He'll drop something like a strange coin. I just go pick it up real quick, and then I go get in position to grab my loot. And there we go. So from there, the mission time, it took maybe like 5 minutes, 6 minutes, and you can just do this over and over and over again, especially on these Vex days. The boss is really fast, and it's a really effective way to get multiple items throughout an hour. So if you do it 6-minute time frame, you're getting 10 items in an hour, and that's much faster than spending an hour on an activity with somebody failing over and over again on difficult modifiers and getting only 3 items or 4 items. And if you fail fully, then you get none. So that's the run for the Caldera when you're doing the Vex Day. I'm going to go ahead and now narrate over a run I did yesterday for the Fallen. So it looks like the footage that I had of the Fallen runs was either corrupted or it just didn't save right, because I'm not able to pull that up. So what I'm going to be going over is going to be the Grandmaster version of Caldera that I did with the Vex. Now in this case, it's going to have 2 champions, so you're going to have 2 overload champions. And what I do with my Matter Spark, I go in and I just go back and forth. I'm using my heavy attack, bouncing back and forth between the 2 of them, and holding down my main attack so that I can do the lightning strikes. And of course, after a heavy attack, they begin to jolt. That's going to stun them, and then from there, the heavy attack hitting them does the damage to take them down as well. So it takes them out pretty quick. They're actually really beefy, so it's surprising how fast they die, especially if you have the arc surge bonus modifier going on, which I believe I did here. I have a weapons takedown requirement, so I'm going to pop out of Matter Spark and get these weapon kills. Otherwise, I would have just stayed in Matter Spark and mowed through all these ads all the way to the objective here on the right. Now, I'm actually using the wrong build in this case. Normally, I use my Getaway Artist build when I'm doing these runs. I was still in Conquest mode from doing the Conquest Inverted Spire, and so I was using the Helion gloves that gives you the shrapnel from the Helion. But as you see, I'm also taking advantage of using my threaded needle to create a tangle, and that tangle will then let me skip the process of having to shoot the Vex box in order to unlock the explosives on the inside. If you slam it at the ground right next to the wall, it'll allow you to pop the explosives from outside of the barrier. Now, from my perspective, I feel like Matter Spark's a little faster than just straight running or trying to run and dash. So I always pop Matter Spark in between. In this case, I was trying to do a jump, and I don't know if it's my keyboard sometimes or if it's just like a Warlock thing, but sometimes I'll like lose my jump because I'll get like a double jump at the same time. And I know my Corsair keyboard does double type sometimes, so I think maybe I just hit a double space bar there. But I basically was trying to get the jump and then actually like jump across with the boost, and I only got like part of the boost, so I fell off there and wasted a life. But the cool thing is, since there's twice as many champions in Grandmaster, you get twice as many revives. Every time you kill a champion, you're going to get a revive down there on the bottom right. So from here, what I'm doing is I'm just making sure that I'm taking advantage of the brawn, where I fall back and I'm letting the enemies kind of cycle through one after another, trying to choke point them. And as I'm doing that, you'll notice my health will recover. I also, again, use, like I said earlier, Matter Spark to recover that health and allow myself to get kills, which then gives you health while you're in the Matter Spark form. And so here I'm taking advantage of my Helion. It's not the greatest. It does do really cool ignitions on larger enemies, but again, it's not worth taking over a Getaway Artist build. The Getaway Artist build not only gives you health back when you're getting kills from Devour, but it also allows you to recover your grenade. Where in this build, it requires me to pick up orbs off the ground so that I have my buff, my solar buff, in order to generate a class ability faster. And that's kind of what I'm working with here. Now, if I was also doing the, I think it's the Famine mod again, that allows you to get the additional class or just in general ability regeneration from using a specific element, you can take advantage of that with this build, because you can then use whatever the element is that you're on Famine on to boost your recovery, and you can always have a Helion up. But for me, my main attack is going to be the Matter Spark normally. And so anytime something is big, like anytime you're dealing with a Hydra, a Wyvern, or a champion, I always usually just go Matter Spark. I don't really mess around with it. I want to make sure that it's not going to slow me down, and the Matter Spark usually makes quick work of just about anything. And again, like I showed in the other run, when you have a Vex situation and you're dealing with the Detain bots, these Detain bots, they can't do anything to you when you're in your Matter Spark form. And if you do get detained, pop Matter Spark and you're out. Now, another thing is, once you hit your third mound, if you haven't been doing any of this farming for the first time, that's going to push the door open here that I'm rolling through. Otherwise, that door is going to stay there until something is destroyed. When you're doing the Fallen one, if you come and wait at the door when you're doing the third little material stash and you're blowing that up using the shank will make its way. It gets blown up a few times, it's making its way, and then eventually the third or fourth shank in will just skip past the enemies and blow up the stash, and that'll open the door for you, so you can just sit and wait at the door once you've taken out the overloads. Now from here, I'm just kind of rushing through here so that I can get to a point where I'm able to just jump through out of the way and take out this last little grouping. That first grouping I do use if I need like a whole lot of kills, but since I was already almost done and almost to my 35 weapon kills, I just jump to this last little grouping and I catch everything either coming around the corner here, especially when you're doing the Fallen runs. A bunch of Fallen will come single file out of this little area that I'm in right now, and you can get a lot of good headshots and a lot of weapon kills just right there. Now, you can also do that in this area too. You can finish off your objective here, but there's a kind of a limited amount of enemies that at some point they'll stop spawning. So you want to make sure that you're almost done if you're still doing the objective, because that objective gives you a large chunk of your XP that's going to give you the bar there at the bottom right, where you can see that little arrow is indicating where you need to get above your B rank and then your A+ rank. And so from that point, you want to make sure that you're either killing that mini boss that's in the room before this. It's either like a big Fallen, or it'll be like another Harpy, and that'll give you a nice chunk if you're not going to do the objective, or you do the objective, which to me is a little easier just doing the objective. It doesn't take very long. It takes like an extra minute of your time. And so instead of getting like a 4.5 minute run, you're doing a 5-6 minute run. Not that big of a deal. And so what you notice what I did there too, just like in the other one, is I always try to fall back to this section here, because from this back section you're protected from a lot of the spawns, and then any of the boxes that may spawn like kind of hanging off the edges, I'm close to. I'm close to the one here on the bottom left, and I'm close to the two on the bottom right, and so I just kind of make sure to wait, again, like I was doing on my other run, and see where that's going to go. And in Grandmaster, it's important to kind of stay hidden and stay in the back, because the damage that you're going to be taking is going to be much greater. Even with the brawn, you can still easily get overwhelmed. So you want to make sure that you're forcing your enemies to split up and you're not standing out in the open where you can get sniped. I tend to run sniper damage resistance against the Fallen, especially. I'll run like double arc and sniper damage resistance against the Fallen, and that'll help keep me alive from snipers. And then on the Vex side, you can run, if you're worried about snipers, you can run solar resist with sniper resist, and that'll help as well. And so even on, as you can see, on Grandmaster, I make quick work of him. It still was like only 3 or 4 shots, especially because you have that modifier that gives you a stronger power weapon with more power ammo, and you still get the same rewards. As you can see here at the bottom of the screen, I'm getting credit now for doing the Brawn modifier, and I'm getting credit for doing the No HUD modifier, even though again I've done No HUD before. It requires me to do it again once I reach the rank in order for that to count. Other than that, that's pretty much the best that I can kind of go over how to do this, while still kind of giving that little commentary to give my thought process. Whether you're choosing to run on Grandmaster just for that additional difficulty and to kind of not have to worry about going back and forth, or you're going to do like I'm going to do and run Master all the way until I just can't add anything more and get the A+, then I'll move into Grandmaster. As you can see, it's not that bad. On the Vex side, on the Fallen side, you definitely want to try to do Master as much, because the Grandmaster Fallen Sniper hits really hard, but as long as you're doing the double arc resist and you're doing the sniper resist, you can survive that no problem. And again, on any day that you can get an arc surge and even a strand surge as of using the barrel dyad, those are days that you're going to cook as well, and you're going to be a little bit faster. Just to recap, we've gone over Guardian ranks are actually important, so you want to make sure you get those Guardian ranks as high as you can during the Arms Week. Prime engrams have different ways to increase them, and they look different. You don't want to run low on unstable cores, and you want to make sure you saved up enough so that you can support other characters, and you want to try not to balance 2 or 3 characters while you're leveling. You want to try to just level on one character, and then later on you can go and catch up your other characters with your excess cores. You want to get to 350 as fast as you can. Upgrade your Kepler drops. Don't forget to do the weekly missions before each reset on Tuesday. An ornament bug for the helmet will keep your helmet always at your level and light, so you don't have to be behind that, and you'll also be able to take you over that 1 light difference. Like if you're at a 7 of 8, that helmet, if you get that 1 more tier up, that'll take you into the next tier up for your power. The ornament for your armor, again, will help you with that additional damage resistance, which is really helpful when you're getting into Master and Grandmaster. Don't forget to use the chests and mysteries in Caldera so that you can level up your armor piece that you want, and to focus that at the lens there in Caldera where you're turning in your strangelets to kind of get the fabled and mythic quests done. That same place is where you're going to go back to focus your gear as you're going between the chests to level up specific pieces. And then as long as you follow my advice on how to set up and grind Caldera, and those same things will apply to the other solo ops, and that way you don't have to depend on somebody else, or if you're struggling with other fire teams and you have the skill, or you can work up to the skill to get this done this way, that'll really streamline things, and it's really stress-free once you kind of like lock in. Just throw a video on your other screen or on your phone, and you're listening to music, or you're watching another video in the background while you're just mindlessly grinding and going through the loop. It'll happen eventually over a week's time. You'll end up catching up to everybody else that's at that 300, 350 range, and then maybe it'll take you a few weeks to get to the 400 range. But from there, if you have any additional questions, just like in my other videos, you can drop me a comment below, and I'll be glad to answer any questions you may have on builds or on specific runs. If you're getting stuck at any point, if you're having trouble making any of these things work, maybe some of these things have been disabled by the time you see this video weeks down the line, but for at least for this week, the day that I'm recording this is the 30th of July, so at least this week, the Arms Week that we're in, we're going to actually still have these things available that I showed you. There's no plans yet to nerf those, and nothing has been said about the Thursday update to fix those, although we'll find out Thursday after reset. So hopefully if it's Thursday after reset this week, they haven't gone and changed any of that. But other than that, again, thanks very much for watching this video, and I'll see you guys in the next one.